All right, welcome to the Joe Kilgallon Podcast, aka Kilgallon's Pub. Got a very fun podcast in store for everyone. But as always, I like to start off by thanking all the listeners, all the subscribers on YouTube. You guys are the best. I hope everyone is bracing for the final few weeks of 2020, this glorious fucking year we've had. But without further ado, my guest today, I'm very excited about this guy because he's one of the most interesting, fun dudes I've ever met. And fun is a word I don't use often to describe someone, but whenever I think about this dude, I'm like, that's a fun motherfucker right there. Always a fun guy. Great comedian too. You guys are going to love him. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, whoops, I was at the wrong button. Brooks Wheelan, what's up, my man?
I'll take it. I like the idea of fun.
Dude, it's a good one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people could be, this guy is caring. This guy
had to postpone a podcast because it was 4:30 and he couldn't watch an Iowa basketball game and not drink.
Oh, dude, I get that though. As a sports fan, especially anything to be excited about. This has been a year where there hasn't been a whole lot to be like jacked up about something. So right. I was like, hell yeah, dude, go watch Iowa, go Hawkeyes.
Yeah, no, it is weird. It's a lot of I didn't give a fuck about the NBA, but like during those playoffs, I'm like, yeah, we got sports. This is great.
Sports is just one of those things too, where it's so nice to just not be, you have to give a fuck. You could just watch, drink, and in a weird way, you have a good 2 hours, however long a game is, in which nothing else matters but what you're watching. You know what I mean? That's escapism. It's perfect.
Truly escapism is great. So thanks for letting me come on the next day. And how are you, man? How's it going?
Dude, I'm great, man. And I wanted to thank you again, too, because Brooks has a great podcast called Entry Level. I was a guest on maybe a few months ago, but it was amazing. Brooks interviews people about their first jobs, which I think is such a cool concept.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. If you go look at the catalog, I've interviewed like 160 people. There'll be a comic you like that I've interviewed, and you'll hear about what they did before they were a comedian. And usually, as in Joe's case, they were a terrible employee for many, many people.
Yes, that was awful.
Yeah.
But here, I wanted to lead off from that because you had a post yesterday or 2 days ago on Instagram about how you should have your own travel show. And holy shit, you should though. Because
I've pitched 4. I've tried. It's not without trying. People just are not into, I don't know what the fuck their deal is. But yeah, no, I'm always trying to get a travel show. I got turned down by goddamn Snapchat. I didn't even know I wanted a show with Snapchat, but they reached out with the idea of a show. And I said, okay, I got excited about Snapchat. And then they said, never mind. And I'm like, fuck you for making me even find out what you were.
Real quick though, what the fuck? Why did they say no though? I don't understand that. I hear stories like this all the time in Hollywood about, hey, they approached me and still said no. What was the thing where they're like, no, we want less nudity. We want less, like, what was it?
They were like, it needs a driving narrative. And I'm like, yeah, the excitement and going. And they sent me, they're like, I pitched, I was like, okay, here's what I think. People are cooped up right now. Like you don't have to be. We live in America. America's very big. It has a lot of nature in it. You don't have to get on a plane. You can drive. We have a great highway system. Like you can be different places. You don't have to stay in your homes right now. So I was like, I'll do, what I pitched them was 10 days in 10 national parks. So I would spend 10 days in a national park, like alone, just like filming it and stuff like that. That's going to edit down to a fucking dope 10-minute episode or whatever. You know what I mean?
Easily.
10 national parks. And they're like, what's the narrative? I'm like, the narrative is like, okay, fine. I'll figure out what the hardest thing to do in that national park is. Like for, let's say like, gosh, like Yosemite's half dome. I'll hike half dome. For the Grand Canyon, it's the North Rim to the South Rim. I'll do that, and that's part of it. And I'm like, that's interesting. And it's like adventurous and I'll make it funny. And if you want, I'll bring guests. So we'll have like famous comedians with me who maybe don't even like camping. And they were just like, and they sent me, they're like, here's a show that's really working for us right now. And it was a transgendered woman dating show. And they were like, something like this. And I go, what the fuck are you talking about? That's great. That is not what I'm pitching you. What do you want me to do? A dating show? What? So
how do you
it's
do a
just
travel dating show?
I don't know, man. It was just like the most, you don't know what you're doing. Like, why are we are, neither of us are hearing each other, I think.
Well, it's weird that Snapchat's trying to get, I know they've been doing original content, but isn't it a social media platform? Why are you trying to,
man,
I don't know.
I had just nothing but trouble with trying to develop with them.
Although I guess a dating show you could do that you could make a travel dating show would be you going to different towns and then Tindering it up with girls.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Why would you?
That doesn't sound like hiking rim to rim.
No, it doesn't, man. But
yeah,
no, I definitely think we got to get you a travel show because I see your pictures and I want to travel because of you. And I'm not like I like traveling for comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big outdoorsy person, but I like watching shows about the outdoors.
I need to go outdoors. Otherwise, I'm not good at hotels. They're boring. They're like, I drink in hotels. I don't know if you can tell. I just like if I'm in a hotel, I got the TV, I'm going to drink beer. And then I'm just like, I feel like I'm wasting a day versus like whenever I go on a tour, what I learned early in comedy is always rent a car. I need to always rent a car. Otherwise I'll just go nuts in the hotel. And then I drive to whatever the coolest nature thing is in that area.
So that's how you do it though. I like shit like that because like Steve Byrne was a good dude like that. I used to open for him a little bit and he always knew he's a food guy, even though he's not like big. But for some reason, when I think food guys, I'm like, you got to be a little heavy for me to trust you as a food critic. You can't be thin and in good shape.
Right.
But he's like, let's find the local thing. Let's find like the greasy spoon. Let's find that hot spot. Yeah. And I feel like I always see pictures of you posting stuff where I'm like, dude, I got to get out more because like Utah is a gorgeous state. And I feel like people don't know how beautiful Utah is.
No,
I've seen like you post pictures of traveling from California to like Idaho. And I'm like, damn it, dude. I want Brooks to narrate that shit.
Well, what people don't realize, like from my apartment to Zion National Park is only 6 hours. Like that's not that far. You know what I mean? Like I leave at 6, I'm there at noon. And it took me a while to realize that. Like, it's like, that's not a far away. Like I drove up to Seattle last week just because I was like, I don't want to be in LA. My friend lives in Seattle and Canane's in Oregon. So I stopped in Oregon, shot guns with Canane in the woods, camped, and then went up to Seattle and skied with my friend. Like, just like, especially right now during the fucking quarantine, when we do have a lot of free time, you know, might as well fucking take advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I'm not trying to pitch.
I also don't have a family, so it's easy just to do whatever I want, whenever I want. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I know. My listeners know I've got 2 little boys. My wife and I were actually talking about what kind of vacation could we eventually take them on. And I'm a little bit like, we should go basic at first, only because they are so little, they might not remember. I remember going to, like, when I lived in LA, we'd go to Disney sometimes because it's right there. I remember going to Disney and seeing these parents with like 2-year-olds. And I'm like, that kid's never going to remember this. This is like, you're scoring major dad points and they won't remember their first time. I think you should remember your first time doing something epic like that.
Well, or just I mean, I didn't really go on, I went on 2 vacations my whole life, both to the Dells. And
classic Midwest.
Yeah. I don't know if
I've been there a bunch.
Don't wait until your kid's 13 and angry he's never been on vacation.
No, that's true. That's what we were talking about. I think the good ages for Disney World, I think 5 and 3 might be pretty good for them. They're 3 and 1 now. My
parents went to Disney World and left me at home. It took my 2 older brothers.
And why did you?
Because I was like 1 or 2 or something there. And it was like what you're saying. They're like, well, we're going to go have fun with these ones. Get rid of the fucking dead weight. And just looking back at that, I'm like, that's wild. You just left the little kid. You went to Disney World without me? What? I
think it's wild that they didn't return with you one day.
No, exactly. They had, plus also growing up, there's really fun photos of my brothers and my mom and dad at Disney World. They went twice. I'm not in any of these photos. And I'm like, why can't we go to Disney World anymore? And I fucking swear my dad goes, because you were born.
Oh, shit. See, this is.
So I was blamed for never getting to go to Disney World.
That's fucking crazy. Dude, I should do a new podcast. Why did you become a comedian? Because I think we found your origin story right here.
Yeah, I never even thought about it until just now.
Oh my God. Did you know a comedian named Dan Ronan?
I don't.
Yeah, so not to get down, but he died a few years back. Anyway, he had this great joke about when he went to a sleepover when he was like 8 or 9 years old. At the sleepover, all the kids were like, "We're gonna watch Wayne's World." And his mom said, "You can't watch that movie." So he had to go in the other room by himself while the rest of the sleepover got to watch Wayne's World. And he said, "Now, I don't think watching Wayne's World is going to mess you up, but being in the next room hearing your friends laugh while Wayne's World is playing, that's going to mess you up." And that your Disney situation is very similar.
Well, I mean, that sounds way wild. I remember I was at a sleepover one time. We were like freshmen in high school or something, and we all fell asleep. My friend had his like stepdad had rigged up like that black box so he could watch, anything. And they had like Playboy channel or whatever. And we all fell asleep with it on because we were just, we were all just trying to watch it all night long. And everybody fell asleep with it on. And his mom came downstairs. And it's the funniest thing an adult's ever done that I can think of. She just like turned the light on. Playboy channel's on. There's like 8 boys sleeping on the ground. And she goes, "Y'all pitching tents down here?" And I was like, we're all so embarrassed. But looking back, I'm like, man, that's a funny icebreaker. Like, what else is she going to say?
That's a good line. It's a good mom right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sleepovers are like a rite of passage for kids because I feel like those were the first. I remember a sleepover. That was the first time I saw horror movies. And I saw like Friday the 13th. I remember seeing Death Becomes Her. Remember that movie? That was pretty dope.
Dude, I don't like horror movies. I hated horror movies, but we'd always rent them because of boobs. We just assumed boobs. Yeah, I remember like the first horror movie we saw that boobs weren't in it. We were like, what the fuck was that shit? That sucked. There was no boobs. This is a terrible movie.
Dude, I agree, man. I remember that was like your kind of go around where you're like, oh, it's a scary movie. The parents don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Dude, Scream had no boobs, and that kind of pissed me off because that movie's whole thing was kind of mocking horror movies in a way. Mm. There were no nips in Scream.
Bullshit. I still need to find out who did this and thank this man. For my 6th grade birthday sleepover, my mom came home from, it was called 2001 Videos to Go in Manchester, Iowa. And she comes home and she's like, I rent it. I asked the guy at the movie theater what would be good for a 6th grade birthday. And he recommended this. It was Half Baked. This dude got my mom to rent us Half Baked in 6th grade. And it was the fucking greatest movie we'd ever seen. Like this guy's a goddamn hero, whoever was working at that video store that day.
That is a hero right there. He knew what was up.
Weed and boobs are in that movie.
Yeah, dude. Well, 6th grade, you're 12, so it would have been weird if you were smoking weed by that point. But
it was fun to talk about it.
Yes. That movie's perfect for 6th graders because I guarantee all of you that whole week at school was like, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, which is such a classic line for kids, Dude,
it was so fun. Harlan Williams is so funny in it. Fucking kills the horse.
That movie, I remember seeing the trailer, like seeing commercials for it when I was a kid on TV, thinking, oh, I'd love to see that. But then didn't see it until like 5 years later when I was like, I don't know, in high school or something.
Yeah. I remember there was a part in the trailer that wasn't in the movie and I was upset because they were asking Jim Brewer, they're like, what do you do? What's your job? And he goes, I have a job. I'm a professional meter jumper. And he tries to jump over a meter and just hits his nuts and falls really hard.
Yeah, that's not in the movie. You're right. I remember that in the trailer.
Yeah, not in the movie.
Dude, I was heartbroken when I found out movies would do that. And then I found out later, it's deleted scenes or whatever. Because a number of times, actually the first movie, why do I feel like you had a post about this one time? You ever have something that's random, but it sticks in your brain? The first movie I knew that the trailer didn't match the movie 100% true was Disney's Blank Check.
Okay.
Now the reason I feel like maybe it had anything to do with you, but in the movie Blank Check.
I was thinking about Blank Check the other day because I'm like, that's a bad kid. That's a steely bad kid.
It's a very bad kid. But so Disney Plus, I've got little kids, so I've got Disney Plus, and Blank Check came across. And I remember seeing it, and then I thought about Blank Check because Blank Check, the guy who wrote the screenplay for Blank Check wrote the book Save the Cat.
Okay.
And maybe it wasn't you, but I remember one time seeing someone tweet like a year or two ago going, everyone raves about Save the Cat, but then you realize the guy who wrote Save the Cat, his claim to fame is Blank Check. Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, I did.
Was you.
I was like, somebody was telling me that was a while ago because somebody was like, you got to read Save the Cat. You got to read Save the Cat. And then I'm like reading it. I'm like, this guy, the blank, he wrote a book on how he made blank check. Fuck you. I'm not reading this book. Yeah, because he kept like, in blank check, here's what I did. I'm like, what? Shut the fuck up, first of all. Yeah, it was, oh man, that book is trash.
Dude, that took me out of that book too, because I remember I'd read a couple other screenplay books before that. And then everyone's like, Save the Cat. That's the book. That's the book. I'm reading it and I'm just, same thing you had. I'm like, dude, stop. It's like bragging about a girl that all your friends were like, yeah, she's cute, but she's not hot, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Slow down.
And in Home Alone 2, we made it a little different. He's in New York now, and everything's the same. But we got, instead of a shovel guy, a bird lady. And that's how I wrote the movie. It's like, shut the fuck up. Don't brag about Home Alone 2.
Yeah, he had nothing. I don't know if he had any. No, he wrote, what the fuck was that movie? Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. I think he wrote that book too, or that's movie.
That's actually more a braggable movie for me.
Yeah, I mean, you got Sylvester Stallone in it, right? So.
Wait, I'm thinking of Throw Mama from the Train.
I don't know Throw My Mama from the Train.
Maybe, I don't know. One of them has like the mom of the Fratellis from Home Alone. That actress, she's incredible. I think that might be Throw Mama from the Train.
Okay, I think Stop or My Mom Will Shoot might have one of the Golden Girl, like the old lady from the Golden Girls.
So it did. Dude, there was that whole era. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, Throw Mama from the Train, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. These are all great. These are all like titles that are insane.
Yeah, dude. I read a thing about titles nowadays where it's the marketing department at all these studios has more say if a thing gets greenlit.
Dude,
where they'll be like, that title's no good. I had
a TV show I really liked called Crystal Lake Cave Nature's Masterpiece about a cave I worked at. And it was my first idea it was why I got all representation and stuff. It was real. It's a real cave in Iowa that feuds with the Field of Dreams. Like, they are tourist traps that hate each other. But in reality, the cave just hates the Field of Dreams. The Field of Dreams doesn't think about the cave because it's much more popular.
Field of Dreams, yeah.
Yeah. And so I wrote this script about it or whatever, and it got far and it was good. And then they're like, do you have any other ideas? And I was like, I don't know. I think about this show called just like Best Friends for Never, about like 4 best friends who fight. And they were just like, we love it. I'm like, what? They're like, we love it. Best Friends for Never. Oh yeah, I can just see it. I'm like, this is not how this should work. I have this really well thought out idea. And you're like, and then I have a fucking pun. Fuck this.
I know, dude. That's really all they give a fuck about is like the title. I was talking to a friend the one year when it was like 2 years ago, I think 2018, there was a bunch of TV show pilots that were all like, airing in the fall schedule, and they all had titles. The one that stuck around was Blackish, but the other ones was like Selfie. There was a TV show called fucking Selfie. Yeah. There was one like Love from A to Z. Like, all these things were just like cute, marketable titles, but horrible shows. Blackish is actually pretty good though.
I auditioned, except for Blackish, for all of those. And it was just like so I was just like, my show wasn't going and I'm auditioning for, whatever, God friend requested me. And I'm like, what the fuck is
That's one too.
What is happening?
Yeah, dude. I was shocked. I wasn't like shocked because it makes sense because it's all about eyeballs. That they just want people to watch shit. But he was telling me, he's like, dude, it used to be, it's a friend of ours, Mick Betancourt, right?
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He was telling me all about this. He's like, it used to be, this was like the chain of command for most studios. And now the marketing department is like, they are like so much more power than they had even 10 years ago. And I'm like, that's kind of disappointing because instead of like the content and if it's actually good, because there's a lot of shows that are great but have stupid titles. Right.
Yeah, I remember the guy, what's his name? The guy who made Cougar Town. He made Cougar. He talks about this. He was the dude who made
Bill Lawrence.
Yeah. He's like, I made a joke that I could sell. Somebody said we should make a show called Cougar Town. He's like, I could sell it based on the name. I'll go talk to somebody. We will sell the show based on the name. And then they were like, the show's good and we like the show. We're so angry we named it Cougar Town. Because he's like, we
did like 6 seasons.
A good show with the worst title ever. That was kind of just a joke. And I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's what I read.
Dave Grohl said the same thing about Foo Fighters. He hates the band name Foo Fighters. He called it that because he thought nobody would hear it, and it made it sound like a band instead of it just being him. Because it was a little project he did right after, 8 months after Kurt died. He finally was like, I got to start recording music again. He did, all the instruments, and then everyone's like, well, this is a thing. So then he had to form a band around a name that he says he still hates.
Right. Yeah, and then he even has like the FF on his wrist, I think.
Yeah, I think he does. Right? Or was that just the cover of an album? No, it was the neck.
Maybe
it's the tattoo.
It is his neck. I know. I think I've just seen it here a bunch of times. Send it on the wrist. Who knows? But yeah, no, everything's stupid. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is the only good show. And
dude, I was talking about that last week on the podcast because I just started. I love that show, but I'm like 3-4 seasons behind, and I started rewatching it from the beginning. And that show is so fucking brilliant, man.
That shows why I moved to LA. I wanted to move out here and make It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like that show came out at the perfect time ever for me as a comedy fan. I was 19, living in Iowa, and that first season came out, and they just dumped it. It was like they were all out right away, and I just caught it, and I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. It made me feel like I could make a show because it was so DIY and not lit well and just like really low budget. And then, now here it is, whatever, fucking 17 seasons later. And it's like the coolest one of my coolest thing that ever happened besides doing Weekend Update on SNL is I got to be on my other friend's show, AP Bio, where Dennis or Glenn Howerton is in AP Bio. And in that episode, I get in a big fight with him. And it's just like, it's really short in the episode, but like we spent like probably an hour where we're just arguing over each other. And that's like the moment where I was like, whoa, I'm in It's Always Sunny right now. Like I'm arguing, I'm screaming at Dennis and he's screaming back. And it was like, I was like, this is fucking cool. This is why I moved here. And it was really, that was like a cool, like, hey, this is great moment.
I love hearing like fellow comedians talk about those little moments where you're like, yes, I am on the right path. And I made the right decision getting into this.
Yeah.
AP Bio, by the way, is such a great show. I happened to catch the pilot when it debuted live, like the first episode. I was flipping around and it was just starting. And right away, I'm like, this is going to be a great show. And then I found out later it's O'Brien. What's his first name?
O'Brien.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, that guy, I've never met him, but I've heard nothing but good things about him. But I love the gag they did with Glenn Howerton, where every time he walked into a room, he threw his apple. Like he was finishing an apple and he'd throw it at the garbage can and never make it. It would always miss. And there was just like, I love shows. Arrested Development was perfect with this. It's Always Sunny is always also like this, where there's like that little gag that they do over and over again. And the other characters never seem to address it. Nobody ever goes, hey, you want to pick that up or anything like that? I just fucking love shit like that because it's almost like real life.
Yeah, no, O'Brien's a genius. O'Brien was the only one at SNL when I was there who was writing sketches with like a narrative and like a heart at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Some weight.
I don't know, just like trying to be as funny as possible, which, hey, they're great at that. But O'Brien's always had like there was more to everything he wrote, and it was incredible.
All right. Well, while we're on the subject of SNL and we were talking about auditioning, if you don't mind me picking your brain a little bit, because I think there's so many comedians out there who SNL might be a goal of theirs or who knows or whatever, but they're curious about the process. So what's the audition process like for Saturday Night Live?
Well, it's weird. It's like from me sending a tape in to getting on was like 2 years. But from me auditioning in front of Lorne Michaels to being a writer on the show was like 2 weeks. Like it was like really slow. And then it's just like, you're on, you work here.
Move to New York.
All that happened was I had reps or whatever. And, everybody was leaving the show. All the dudes were leaving the show. Like Andy Samberg, Armisen, Hader, Sudeikis, we're all leaving at like the same time. So they're like, hey, we need dudes. So my agent was like, hey, do you want to make a tape and send it in? And I was like, I don't know how to do SNL. Like I had initially wanted to be on SNL. That's why I got into comedy, was to do Saturday Night Live. But then, you start doing stand-up and you realize that you love stand-up and you're like, well, and then I took classes at UCB and I was like, these guys are great at characters. I'm not. I was like, I'm not going to try to do SNL anymore. I'm just going to try to be the best stand-up in the world. And then, my manager or whatever was like, just do this shit. Just fucking do it. And I was like, okay. And I can't really do impressions. I'm not good at impressions. So I was like, and they want you to do 3 impressions and 3 characters is what the tape is supposed to be. So I did like 3 bullshit characters. I don't even remember. Like, it was like, they were fun. I like doing characters a lot. I was doing a lot of characters on stage. It was like a shy bodybuilder was one of them. It was just like, he would flex and be so embarrassed. But then the impressions I couldn't do, like Philip Seymour Hoffman or fucking, whatever is it, all right, Matthew McConaughey, that guy. I don't want to do that. That's stupid. So for my impressions, I did like Hitler. But he was setting up before a speech, but he was really into troll dolls. He's superstitious, so he had to set up all his troll dolls. He's like, let me just get his hair. He's got to be just right. Oh, he's got the jewel for a belly button. Do not show the Jews. Pretty crazy shit. And then Jake the Snake Roberts. Only the government had repossessed his snakes, so he didn't have a lot to work with. And he was also being hired for a children's birthday party. So just like weird narratives.
So you took bold choices, though, which makes you stand out, I feel like.
Crazy. So I taped it in my manager's office, and she sends it in. And I'm like, hey, cool, neat. Didn't even think about it. And then like a day or 2 later, she's like, hey, they emailed back. And I was like, what? She was like, they said no, but this is like the most outside of the box tape that they've gotten. Like she said, I don't know if she said ever, but she's like in a long time. It was very weird. They said, and she's like, and that's not bad. And I was like, cool. And then the next year comes around and she's like, hey, they reached out. They want you to make another tape. And I was like, fuck. All right. And so I made another tape and I tried to do real impressions that time. Like I tried to do like Charlie Day, shit like that. And like, send it to her and she's like, maybe we don't do SNL. It just wasn't that. It wasn't good. And then same time I go and do Just for Laughs, Montreal, and New Faces. And I go and it was great. I was like more than ready. I auditioned like 5 years in a row, was furious I hadn't gotten it, like that sort of, you go in with angry and you're like, I'm going to show you how you fucked up. I should have been here 4 years ago. But best thing that ever happened was not get it till I was good at comedy. So JFL goes incredible. Like after JFL, I was like in LA and it was kind of like, okay, you get to quit your job and you're going to do stuff now. So also Seth Meyers was at JFL and he went back to SNL. And he's like, this guy's really funny. We should audition him. And then he showed him, pulled up me or whatever. And they're like, oh, this guy's nuts. We have this tape from a year ago. And he was like, well, he wasn't nuts. He just did straight stand-up. So I think that combo of like, okay, I can do regular comedy helped. So then I auditioned. So then Lorne Michaels comes out to LA and they hold this audition with like maybe 30 people, maybe 20, 30 people at IO West. And I remember I was with Nick Rutherford and he gets a call from his manager that says, hey, you're going to audition for Lorne Michaels at IO West. And I was sitting next to Nick and I was like, oh my gosh, because I didn't know Seth was even at JFL or anything like that. And I was like, this is incredible. Nick, you get to audition for Saturday Night Live, because he was in the sketch group Lonely Island with Kyle Mooney and Beck Bennett. And I was like, this is so cool. And then like 1 minute later, I get a call. I was like, hey, you're auditioning too. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so neat. Well, awesome. Cool. Or whatever. And then I had read Jay Moore's book about how he did his audition drunk. He was just like, I played basketball and I slammed 6 beers and I went and I didn't take it serious. And I was like, well, that sounds like a fucking great plan. So I just didn't take the audition serious at all. And I remember Beck had a flat. I didn't drink before because I'm like taking it, I still do want it. But
Sure.
Beck has he had a handle of, not a handle, but like a little a
Liter?
plastic bottle of vodka, like a fifth, or not a fifth, whatever like a flask amount is. And he's like, "You want something?" I knew him, and I was like, "Yeah." And I just took like a huge tug. And he was like, I didn't mean that much. I was like, I'm pretty nervous. And then I just walked out and did, everyone was doing these really intense, like very meticulous characters. And I just kind of fucked around for 4.5 minutes. Like the mic stand broke and I fixed it and was like, well, that was a real big misuse of my time because it took me like a minute to fix. And I just didn't take it serious. And then I ended it by they told me to do characters and I didn't because I'd read Mulaney just did stand up and I was like, I just want to ride on the show anyway. Well, I mean, I want to be on the show, but I'm not good enough to be on it. And then I end it by even kind of negging like SNL. I was like, all right, I'll do some characters real quick because you guys seem to think that shit's cute. Yeah. And it was
the confidence that helped you through it, man.
Confident psychopath. An absolute confident psychopath. And it worked. So then they're like, holy shit. I like killed on a different level. Like, have you ever been funnier than you are? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Sometimes I'm like, this shit's an accident. All this shit's an accident.
Yes, exactly. That was my SNL audition. I was funnier than I actually was. So then I remember I went home and I was dating this girl. I woke up my girlfriend. She lived not far from iOS. And I was like, yo, I just got to tell somebody, I think I'm going to get SNL. And she was, this is still very early. And she was like, don't say that shit. That's, don't even fucking like say it. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I think I'm going to get it. That was wild. And then, I was going to do this. I was going to get to quit my day job as an engineer. Finally, all this is happening. I was going to host a MTV food show, be a judge on it with Chrissy Teigen and this other dude who was a chef. It was called Snack Down or Snack Off or something. And I was like at Bar Lubitsch, not Bar Lubitsch. I was at somewhere. I was at Little Dom's meeting with the producers of that show. And I was going to sign the shit to do 20 episodes. And I was going to get to quit my engineering job. I couldn't wait. And then my manager calls and she's just like, this is like, 2 or 3 days after the iOS thing. And she was like, don't sign shit, leave. I was like, what? She goes, you're going to New York tomorrow to test for SNL. And I was like, okay. And she's like, and they said to do exactly what you did. Like, just do that. I was like, oh, okay. And then I told the guy, I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta go to New York for SNL. He's like, that's crazy. And it was really cool. It was like the serendipitous moment where I remember at Little Dom's is like this little eatery. It's like hip or whatever. Like a lot of people have lunches there. It's like bullshit like I was doing. And in Little Dom's at that time was Nick Kroll, who I kind of know. Well, I do know Kroll. I love him. He's fucking awesome. He's so funny. And I just but I didn't know him that well at the time. And I just told him, I was like, I'm going to New York to audition for SNL. And he was like, oh, I did that. Just stay on your time. It's incredible. Congratulations. And then also John LaJoie was in there, who I was just like, I was like, hey, I'm a fan of yours. I'm going to test for SNL. Like, I just couldn't not tell these guys. And also, who the fuck else was in there? God damn it. It was Paul F. Tompkins was in there too. And these are 3 separate, they're not together. I'm just going over to every one of them and be like, I'm going to New York to test for SNL. And they're all like, okie dokie, psycho. And then, so then I go to New York and I get there and the mind fuck is right away. Because I know Beck and Kyle, they're the only 2 guys I know testing too. And me and Beck get calls, texts, you're going to go have lunch. You're going to go have dinner with Lauren and the producers, not Kyle. So they brought like 20 people. And then like 8 of us went and had dinner with Lauren. And the other 12 were like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's a mind fuck.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And then Lauren comes and sits next to me. And then I just talked to this fucking guy for like, 2 hours just asking him about the differences between Billy Madison and Tommy Boy and shit like that. And he was like, well, I said, I told Adam to lose the penguin. I'm like, I love the penguin. He was like, well, you were a kid, And super cool to talk to and really nice, but, also can put you down really well. He's like, okay. He's really good at making you feel insecure. That's his superpower.
Yeah, I bet.
And then he was like, so what do you like or whatever? And I think that this is like what got me hired is, I was like, well, I love music, man. You should have actually Arcade Fire on. Their new album coming out. Sounds rad. I didn't know until way later he had just booked Arcade Fire to do the premiere that day.
Wow.
So in his head, I'm very cool. He's like,
you confirmed his coolness. I love it when someone makes you feel like, because I mean, he booked Arcade Fire thinking, oh, everyone's telling me this. And then this guy who he just meets is like, good call. That's pretty badass.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that he had done it. I'm just like, you got to get Arcade Fire. They fucking rock. And
it would have been cool if you did know, but pretend like you didn't know.
I know, right? I would have fucked it up then. I would have been like, you should do it. And then, okay. This is a long-winded story, but it was,
I like you, man. This is great, dude.
Wild day. So then the next day, I'm like, I got to take the audition just as serious as I took the IO West one. And also Lauren told me, he's like, you're ready for the show. Tomorrow is just like a formality. I'm like, what? Okay. He's like, we have to see how you look on camera. It's a camera test. All right, psycho. But the next day, my call time's like at like 2 or 3. And I knew that they like make you, that you sit in an office alone for a long time before it. There's so much information on SNL out there. And so I went and met with Hampton Yount and Nick Turner, who were both in New York. And we got drunk at lunch. We just went and had lunch. And I remember it was not wasted, but just, had some beers to kind of chill out.
A healthy buzz.
And it was like, I was like, oh, fuck, it's 2. I'm late to audition for SNL. And we were right by the Flatiron building. And I had to like stop a cab. And I was like 30 Rock. I don't know what the fucking address is. I got to go to 30 Rockefeller Plaza to audition for SNL. And the guy's like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, dude, I'm not joking. I'm late. I got to get there. So we haul ass there. And then this is the smartest thing I ever did. Cause I was like, look, man, I don't give a fuck if I'm late. If I'm going to be iced in a room, I got 3 tall boys of Miller Lite and put them in my backpack and walked in. They put me in a room. It was so smart, dude. I was in there for like 2 hours, just alone, hearing people like yelling, like working on their auditions or whatever. And I was trying to like be friendly and like go around to people and be like, this is crazy. How cool is this? This is nuts. That's fucking Bill Hader's room. And nobody wanted to talk to me. They were all taking it very serious. So I just jammed out in my room to like this band, The Joy Formidable, while I like took beers and like kind of just like hanging out, like having fun. And then went down, did it. It was awful. It was so bad. There's a difference between, because I just did stand-up. There's a difference between doing like a character and being like, okay, you can see that I have this skill versus stand up to no laughs. And I was shell shocked with how bad it went. Like I left in a fucking daze, and everyone else is like, God, that went great. I'm like, I think I got to quit comedy. Like that was so bad. I fucked up. And then I go back to my hotel and I am like, I don't even remember. I haven't watched my audition and I don't remember it. Like it was that. I don't remember doing it and I haven't watched it. And I could have the whole time, like, do you want to see your audition? When I was on the show, I was like, fuck no, burn it. So then I go back to my hotel and I'm like, this was awful. This was nuts. And then I call my agent and I'm like, yo, that sucked. I'm really sorry. Like I just fumbled, And then she's like, it's okay. It's really hard. Don't worry about it. It's fine. You're going to work when you get back to LA. Then like 1 minute later, she calls and she's like, I don't know what you'd think, but they want you to stay now. And I'm like, what? Okay. So then I stayed in New York for 3 more days. And also they only kept like 10 of us. So they sent like 15 people home, kept 10 of us. I'm like, okay, now it's down to 10 of us. They kept me for 3 more days. Didn't meet with Lauren. Like they were like, in case you go meet with Lauren, never met with him. Other people did. I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? I just stayed here 3 more days. Just did stand up at night, hung out with pals, then came back to LA. And it's like, I had kind of quit my job a little bit, but not really. And they announced that like Beck, Kyle, John Milheiser, and Noel all got hired. So they announced those guys got hired. And I'm like, fuck, I didn't get it. Okay, that's fine. It's all right. I did not get it. That sucks. And then I started having all the other bullshit meetings of, like if you get that close to getting on it, other people are like, well, we should talk to this guy.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I was like, at a meeting at ABC to meet like with the head of like ABC development, or whatever. And I'm in the office and I get a call. It was my birthday, I remember. And I get a call from, the casting woman at SNL, who's nice. And she was just like, hey, what's up? This is, her name is Lindsay. She's great. She's like, hey, this is Lindsay at Saturday Live. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? I'm actually at ABC right now. I'm at the Enemy. I was like being funny. She's like, we'll leave because you're going to move to New York and we're not sure what you're going to do on the show yet, but at the least you're going to write this season. And I was like, at the least, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. Yeah. And then I remember I go, and this is like foreshadowing. I was like, it's my birthday. And she's like, I don't care. Oh boy, I forgot that you guys are kind of mean. And then so as soon as I hang up, the people at ABC are like, all right, you fucking Bill Disney's ready to see you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just like walk in, and also I'm not supposed to tell anybody, she's like, don't tell anybody. We'll do a press release and all that shit. Okay. And then I walk into the ABC room or whatever, and I'm sitting on the couch and there's like 5 execs across from me or whatever. And they're like, so how's it going or whatever? And I'm just like spinning and I'm just like, good. And they're like, yeah. And like, what do you want to do? Like, tell us about you. And I just was like, I just got hired to write at SNL. I gotta go. I immediately told a bunch of people. And they were like, oh, okay. Wow, crazy. Cut to 1 year later, I'm back in that meeting with all of those people after being fired. And they were like, that was a weird day. I was like, it was a weird day. Then I fly to New York and I write for the show for the first three weeks of commercial parodies where all the writers come in early. And then the day before the show started, Lauren's like, yeah, we're going to bump you up into the cast. And then it turned into hell. Everything before that was fun. And then once I was in the cast, it wasn't fun.
Yeah, dude. I mean, first of all, great story. And thank you for sharing it.
Yeah.
What I love so much about you is
it's interesting.
You're so fucking genuine, man. You're like the same. I was cracking up when you were like, I ran into Nick Kroll. Nick, I'm going to audition for SNL. Paul Tapkins. Paul, I'm going to go audition for. Like, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and I think in a really good way. That's why when you were saying, I knew right away when the casting director, whatever, was like, hey, don't tell anyone we're doing a press release. In my brain, I'm like, oh, he's fucking telling people. I thought you were going to get in trouble for telling people, but obviously the ABC execs aren't going to. Who are they going to babble to? Yeah,
I was having my 27th birthday party that night at the Red Lion, and I was just like, I'm writing on SNL.
Yeah, dude. Some things it's like I don't understand how they could expect people to hold on to that information as tightly as some people do.
I did have to hold on to I was a cast member for a weekend because he put me in the cast on a Friday, and I couldn't tell anybody till Monday, and by that time I knew enough to be scared of them.
Yeah, that's what everyone talks about, how intimidating Lorne Michaels is and all that. I mean, I remember seeing you, like you came into LA, I think like SNL hiatus week. And I think I bumped into you maybe like a Bar Lubitsch or some bar in Echo Park, who knows where, and just chatting with you. And I could tell, I'm like, this dude is exhausted. You just seem like you're physically drained. Is it like that grueling a process, week to week grind of working as cast member?
Well, it's just to not get on the show was the worst thing ever. It was just like I was in I would say for a year and a half, I did not every night for a year and a half. This is even after the show. I had the same dream every fucking night of I don't have any ideas. And it's Tuesday. Tuesday, I have no ideas because that's when you write your sketches. And and I just wasn't getting on. And it was like it was by
Friends for Never, dude.
What?
Friends for Never. You should have pitched that.
Yeah, no, it was just so sad. I was so sad to get on that show and not succeed. And it was just completely consuming of like, I'm failing on Saturday Night Live. I didn't know this was possible. So it was just like, I was a zombie, I was just I didn't know how to deal with it. I just was like really sad. And like knowing like, this is not working. I cannot believe that this is not working. You know what I mean?
Dude,
you get hired to do that. You think I got this. There's no way I'm not going to be able to do this. And it was just so much more than, I was like, just let me do fucking Update. Like anytime they let me go on Update and do stand-up, the next week they're like, that was great. I'm like, let me do it again, you fucking maniacs. That's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
So it was just, it was just tough. Yeah. That year was such a blur but a lot of people have the similar story of like, I saw you looked like the saddest boy in the world. I go, oh, I probably was.
Well, I mean, it's heartbreaking to hear because SNL is such like an institution. So I understand like not succeeding at it the way you wanted to. Of course, it's got to be crushing. And here's a reference for you. You're getting into sports now, or basketball at least. Next time you're watching Iowa, think about that 11th guy on the bench who's not getting any playing time. That's kind of like what you were going through. It sounds like to me, kind of just being on the bench, being like, I know, get me on the court. I know I could score. Get me out there. So
that's exactly what it was. Anytime. Well, and that's also, they're really, I can't fault them. They weren't letting me, they don't let new guys take like big swings. Cause what if we miss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were only letting, I got like 6 sketches on, and those were my 6 best sketches because they were like, we're not going to let me put on my bad sketch. I wrote a sketch one time that they let me read it at the table. I'm like, this should have been yanked. It was about a guy that went to the running of the Bulls because this is how out of ideas I was. He's in Pamplona or wherever the fuck it is. He's at the running of the Bulls, and he can't wait to meet Michael Jordan. That's how dumb and stretching I was. They should have said, do not write this.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Not to be a dick, but that is kind of bad.
No, I'm putting out that's my worst sketch, dude. And when the sketches read there was 40 sketches read each Wednesday. It's like fucking 5-hour table read. And everyone is over it by sketch 38, 39, 40. My Bulls sketch was 40. So not only are they over this table read, it's the worst sketch of the year that I have to read out loud in front of all of my fucking heroes.
Who were the head writers when you were there?
It was Seth was still writing there, still on it. He left halfway through to go do his show. He's the coolest person in the world. That's the other thing. Everybody at this show rocks. It's just a tough environment. Like people are like, oh, it's so competitive. Nah, everybody, well, at least when I was there. Also, I just like to get along with, I was excited for everybody who was doing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was Seth, Brian Tucker was the head writer, and Colin Jost was head writer at the time.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, it seems like looking back, you probably look back with a little bit like, oh, I wish it would have gone this way or that way. But overall, I think it was probably a great experience for you. You're doing so many great things since then. And also 6 sketches is 5 more sketches than Larry David got on back in 1982 or whatever.
Yeah, look, man, there's a lot of people. There's a handful of people who did bad on SNL and did really well. There's a lot of people who did bad on SNL and then also didn't do very well. So,
well, it also depends what you make of it too, right? I feel like you're a guy that's going to keep, or you have been like doing more and more shit where it's like, I'll just do this, I'll do that. That's what I think is cool about your story is that you're like, I'll do that. That sounds fun. I'll do that. That sounds fun. And you go in that way, and you're a good dude. Like, you're easy to root for because, like, you're not bad mouthing anyone who was there at SNL, and I'm sure you probably could. But, like, it's just it's a hard show to put together. 90-minute live show that's been around since 1975, and people are very overly critical of SNL. So
yeah. Dude, anytime, sometimes I didn't have enough success for anybody to be mad at me, which is nice. But sometimes people will be like just tweet it or something like, you sucked on SNL. And I'll be like, yeah, I didn't win. What are you talking about? Yeah, of course.
Still got on it though.
No, not still got on it, but they're just like, I'm like, yeah, I know, man. I got fired. It's not like I did 8 years and sucked. But yeah, I don't know, man. It took me a while to be able to like talk about it with any sort of, not anger, where now I'm just like, hey, cool, whatever. It's a cool little moment.
Well, dude, I think that's thank you for sharing with me. I hope I didn't bring up any shit memories for you.
Oh, no, it's all good. No, it's like nice. Like now I'm like, that was cool. New York rocked in that moment. But like, if you asked me when I was, 29, I would be like, it ruined my life.
Yeah. But yeah, that was what season was that? Like 2015 or something?
2013, 14. So it was a long time ago.
Oh yeah, a while ago, man. Totally.
Yeah.
I still think of you as a 29-year-old. That's why I had to ask. I'm like, wait, what year was that? Are you still 29?
I'm 34.
Yeah, I know. I'm 36. It took me a second. I'm like,
I still think I'm 29 too.
Well, I don't. I feel my age now. I used to have a stretch there where I was like, I'm 30 now. I feel like I'm 27. But you're a guy that always feels 29 to me.
Yeah. Well, you have two kids.
Yeah, the kids will definitely fucking age you, man. So how's LA right now? What do you think's going on there? And what do you think like the future holds for LA?
I don't know, dude. I'm like, I'm pro science and masks and all that shit. But like my problem with these lockdowns is they're just stutter steps. Like the whole country needs to shut down or don't. We can't do like county to county bullshit. Like it needs to be all or none because it doesn't fucking matter. LA is like in a lockdown right now, but like I just drove up to Seattle and back, like I can go wherever. Like it's just stupid. LA is fine. I don't know, man. I miss comedy a lot. I miss an income, that's it. The other thing that sucks about this dumb profession we've chosen is and I'm not asking anybody to feel bad for us, but if there's one job you never feel bad for that person, it's performer. You're like, well, that's why you don't do that. That's why you do be an engineer. I call this pandemic the don't follow your dreams pandemic. It's
sad, but fucking true, bro.
I can't wait to be able to make a living doing what I like again.
I think that's the thing is, talking to people, everyone's same boat you're in. Obviously, my wife's a nurse. She works on the COVID floor. This shit is real.
She okay?
Man, she has had some really hard weeks, but there was such a nice dip in the summer in like the Chicago area where it was like things felt closer to normal. A couple of the clubs opened back up. Obviously, they were like spacing out seating and people had their own microphones. Every comic went up with their own mic. So there was still safety measures, but it kind of felt like, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And then I knew shit was getting bad first because, my wife works at a hospital. So she's like, numbers are going up bad. I'm like, really? I haven't heard anything on the news yet. And then like 2 days later, the mayor shuts everything down. So I'm with you, but it's too many fucking stutter steps. The government at every level, especially federal, has failed the small businesses, failed citizens, people without incomes. And if we would have just done a real fucking lockdown, we could be like Japan. And I bring up Japan because I read this morning, not to bore people who don't like baseball, but a baseball player who played in Japan, everyone thought he was going to come back to the majors because he's been kicking ass out there. And like major league teams were like the Yankees, the Marlins, everyone was talking to him. He's staying out there. He just signed a 2-year contract. And people were like, part of the reasoning is he's likes the culture better there. Even though he grew up like in America, he's like, it feels better to be here the next 2 years than be there the next 2 years, even with the vaccine coming. So it shows you how badly we're failing when people are like, I'm going to stick around in Japan. I still only know 12 words, but fuck it, I'm going to stay here.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's crazy. But let's.
If he was like, playing in North Korea, and he's like, actually, I kind of like it in North Korea right now.
That would be a little bit scarier. You're right, man, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, I like to end on two segments. One, I'm very excited for you. Both of them I'm excited for you to do. The first one, because even though I called the show the Joe Kilgallon Podcast now, I used to call it Kilgallon's Pub because it was kind of like a lot of drinking stories and stuff, which I still try to keep around. This one, I like to ask people their favorites. So I'm going to ask you some of your favorite stuff, and they're all going to be kind of drinking related.
Okay.
If you can only do one shot the rest of your life, what's that shot?
Probably Jameson. I don't like shots.
Yeah, I'm not a big shot guy either, and I go with Jameson as well because it's such a punch. If I'm going to do a shot, I want it to be kind of like a punch.
Yeah, I with shots, it's like I'm going to get there. I don't need to step on the accelerator. I'll get drunk.
That's a great way to describe that. You don't need to hit the gas. All right, perfect. Mixed drink. If you could drink one mixed drink the rest of your life.
Oh, I got into martinis. Do those count?
Yeah, no, that's a cocktail. It's more like, what's your favorite cocktail?
A big cold shot.
It really kind of is, dude. I used to hate making. I used to bartend when I was like in my early 20s. I hated making martinis because the glass is so annoying. Because you got to like steady it, and I was always hungover bartending, so my hand was so shaky. Hated that, but no, it's a good drink.
No, yeah, I didn't know I was into them until I was in Albany with Carl Hess doing comedy, and we went to like this bar. It was like the oldest like family owned bar in New York, and they just did. I'd never had like a fancy ass fucking martini where they chill the glass and then they throw it out, and I was like, this is fucking nuts. This is so good. So yeah,
gin or vodka.
I like vodka. Gin to me tastes like pine.
Gin's pretty rough.
Yeah.
I found out my grandmother was a big gin drinker. I used to think it was water, but people later told me, like, that was straight gin, right? She died of liver cirrhosis at 72, though, so it's not.
She made it pretty long.
Yeah, I guess so. Could have gone longer. I feel like I miss her. But all right. Now, beer. Are you a beer guy? What's your favorite beer?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I like Heineken. Like if I buy from the store, I get Heineken or whatever. Same thing with like, I used to like IPAs, but then they make my face all fucking fat now, the sugars and shit.
Oh yeah, they are kind of a little bit too much with that. I'm weird with the stuff. If I'm going draft beer in the summer, I like a cheap domestic, so like a Miller Lite. In the winter, Guinness on tap, I absolutely love because it feels like in Chicago, not LA winter. Then for bottled beer, though, I love Heineken. Yeah, I'm a big Heineken fan, and I like Stella bottles too, but I also like Stella on tap. So, yeah, I guess it depends, bottle or tap. All right, here's one I'm excited for your answer about. Drunk food. You're hammered, and you can only eat one thing. It's 4 a.m. What are you getting?
I like ramen.
Really, that ramen's your drunk food, huh?
Ramen, like, dude, man, I live next to this place called Silver Lake Ramen. And I just love it. It's just so bad for you. And it's so salty and noodles. Ramen. Fucking great.
I could see that being, actually, now that you throw it out there, I just, I don't know why I pictured you being like a French toast guy.
No, I'm not a sweet guy. I'm a salty boy.
All right, a salty boy. All right, salty boy. That should be the name of your next album, Salty Boy.
Yeah, well, that sounds like the name of Maddie Ryan's next album.
That does sound like a Maddie Ryan thing.
Yeah.
I missed that kid. Okay. I don't know why I call him a kid. I think we're the same exact age, but he just feels like a kid to me for some reason. He's got kid vibes.
I got a fun Maddie Ryan story.
You do?
Yeah. So we went on a tour. I call it Brooks Wheelan Tour of Central America. And we just did like right down the middle of the United States. And we were doing some fucking boring ass cities. Like really just like, it's like, we're doing like fucking Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, like fucking Lansing, Michigan in the winter, fucking north of Detroit, just a bunch of not that fun cities in the winter. And then we're rolling into Nashville. And like, that's like I've got friends in Nashville. My friend Patrick is the drummer in the Black Keys. He's like, yo, you should come through my studio. We're recording. He wasn't recording the Black Keys, recording a different band. And like, I'm like, cool. Maddie's girlfriend, it was Maddie's 30th birthday, had set up they were going to surprise him at the hotel. Maddie's girlfriend, Maddie's sister, Maddie's mom. Don't tell him, but get him there. Okay. So I'm just like, dude, Nashville's going to be great. Like, my other friends are in this band, the Kings of Leon. I'm like, I'm going to meet up with them later. And like, but we're going to go to Pat's studio first. And Maddie's so fucking amped. And we get there. And I'm like, hey, surprise, your family's here. Happy birthday. And he was like, you motherfucker. You didn't tell me about this. I was like, I don't know what to say. He was like, God damn it. So they all went to eat at Applebee's or some shit. And then I went to Pat's recording studio. Like the only fun, and Matty was so angry. He's like, you need to tell me. You can't. I'm like, I was trying to be nice. I don't know what to tell you. I thought you would be surprised. I don't know what to say. We had very different fun. We had very different Nashville story. And then then his mom came on tour with us for a little bit, and she rocks.
No, I've never met his mom. His sister's really cool though. And yeah, dude,
that's why I didn't feel bad. I was like, they're fun, they rock. And
yeah, but you didn't take him to Disney World. Going to the studio was Disney World.
Yeah.
So you comes full circle.
Yeah, he was so upset.
All right, the last one of these, and then I got a little quick game. I like to end playing Fuck, Marry, Kill with people because I had to clear off all my DVDs because my wife was like, we need the space and we don't watch DVDs anymore. So I got a big bin of DVDs. I reach in at random, and then that's how I choose your Fuck, Marry, Kill contestants.
Okay.
But one more question of the drinking related stories, or drinking favorites, I should say. One historical person, doesn't have to be like political, like, or just one dead celebrity. If you could have one dead celebrity to get drunk with, who would it be? James
Cook. He's my favorite explorer.
That's a deep cut right there, because I feel like no one's really gone that.
Red is fucking, I love The Age of Exploration, and then James Cook is the greatest explorer of all time because he was the only one who was in it for purely the science. There's a really good book called Further Than Any Man that you'd probably dig. I'll send you a link.
Please do.
James Cook rocks. I got so into this dude that I went to Hawaii to snorkel in the bay where he got killed. There's like a little plaque there, and like it's like a 2-hour hike. It's fucking through the jungle, and I was just like, I need to see where James Cook got killed. So I would love to just fucking talk to that dude. That guy rules. That's
cool as hell. See, you had a quick answer. I love that shit, man. James Cook. All right. Yeah. Please send me the link to that book, because I'm actually, there's no comedy for a while. So I've actually been trying to compile like a list of reading materials.
Yeah,
and stuff
it's
like
great.
That.
Further Than Any Man by Martin Dugard.
All right. Okay. Fuck yeah. I'm a good reader at the beginning of every year. Every year I get a bunch of books for Christmas. I'll knock them out by Valentine's Day. Like I'll read like 5, 6, 7 books by Valentine's Day. And then I don't do shit the rest of the year, and I hate myself for it.
No, I'm in a lull right now. I put myself in a real fucking prison earlier this year where I read all of the George R.R. Martin, A Dance with Dragon, a Dance of Fire and Ice or whatever.
Yeah.
A Song of Fire and Ice. And they're like, it's like 5,000 pages. And then he's awful. And like, just you're reading about rape so much that I'm like, I can't do this anymore. So
is he a bad guy in real life?
No, but he writes stuff that I'm like, we should check on this fucking guy.
Dude.
Anybody's brains.
You were not fucking around, man. I got into Game of Thrones during the last season. So that was like fucking a year ago, 2019. My son Dylan was just born. I started watching like season 1 like a week or two before he was born. That would have been like April of 2019. And Brido, a mutual friend of ours, was trying to be like, dude, you got to watch it all. You got to catch up before these last few episodes. So I watched like 72 episodes of Game of Thrones in like a 10, 12-day period, which is insane.
That's great.
And after every like 6 or 7 episodes, I would text those guys like McGowan and Bridenstine and be like, hey, this shit is too much for me to handle. They're stabbing babies. They're fucking all the rape and horrific murders. Dude, I can't. And they're like, keep going.
The book is worse. It's tamer in the fucking show.
The book is, oh my God. That's
way tame in the show.
Do they capture the Red Wedding worse in the book?
Way worse. It's infinitely worse. They cut the baby out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The worst thing, I almost threw the book in a fire. I was camping. I was reading A Dance with Dragons. And he makes Theon. This isn't giving anything away, but dude, I don't even want to, he makes Theon. I don't even want to talk about it. Well, he makes Theon Theon knows the girl that Ramsay Bolton has just married and is raping. and he makes Theon go down on her. It's like Theon's like basically little sister before he rapes her.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I don't want to read this shit. I'm mad you made me read. I didn't know that this was a fucking thing. I was so angry.
Yeah, dude, that's too much for me too. Sorry, I made you say it out loud.
Yes, exactly. Anytime. I'm
so sorry, Brooks.
One time we were, I was over for John Oliver or whatever, and I had a story. I was like, oh, I have a story about, we were talking about bullies. And I was like, oh man, my bully is in jail. And they were like, tell us why. I was like, you don't want to know. And I'm not going to say why. And then finally they got it out of me, and they're all like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And then John Oliver was like, he's like, Brooks never shuts up. That was the first time he ever said, I don't want to say something. And we made him say it. And so we all deserve to have heard that now.
Yeah, he's 100% right.
Like,
I want to ask you off air if it's that terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you off air. It's too bad, man.
Oh God. All right. Well, let's wrap it up on a good old fashioned American classic. Fuck, marry, kill. I got the big bin right next to me here. Some of these movies are terrible. Some are like, oh, that's a good flick. And I usually pick actors from it. And that's how we'll find out who you're going to fuck, marry, or kill. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. We got The Town. You'll like the fact that it's the Blockbuster sticker right there. Do you remember when Blockbuster used to sell like 4 DVDs for like $20, but they were like the used ones?
Yeah, because they would get like 80 Lord of the Rings, so they could have them all for that week. I mean, that whole system was pretty flawed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, previously viewed, you could buy like a 4. They'd always have like 3 for 20 or 4 for 20 or something like that. Because that's where so many of my last wave of like DVDs that are like newish. Because who buys DVDs anymore? So this is The Town. There's 5 people on the cover. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pick a number between 1 through 5, and that'll be one of the choices.
Just anybody I would know. 5. Well, I'll go with 3. Whoever's in the middle.
The middle is Ben Affleck.
Okay.
All right, so Ben Affleck is one of your choices. All right, reaching in for the next DVD. Oh man, look at this. Swingers. I've seen Swingers in a long time. We got Swingers. I'll pick Heather Graham for you as the only woman on the cover. We got to diversify a little bit. So far, we got Ben Affleck and Heather Graham. Swingers actually was a movie I remember seeing in high school that made me think, man, LA looks cool as hell. They made LA look really cool in that movie.
I watched it recently. Those guys are dorks.
Are they? Well, there was a weird era, that swing music era, you know?
Dress up and drive their own cars into the hills. I'm like, man, you got to get a ride into the hills so that you can black out, baby. Another fun Maddie Ryan story. The only real Hollywood party I've ever been to. My friend invited me to it, who's a good actor. His named Brian Greenberg. And he was like, my wife can't go. Do you want to come be my +1? Maddie Ryan's crashing on my couch. I'm like, okay, can my Chicago rap friend come? And he was like, yeah, just heads up. It's pretty Hollywoody. It was like up in the hills. It was like this Friday before the Oscars. So like Al Pacino's there, Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's like a smallish party. And I'm like, yo, play it cool. Cut to Maddie's FaceTiming with his girlfriend, be like, yo, fucking Leonardo DiCaprio's here. Check this. I'm like, Maddie, stop it. We're not supposed to be here. And then also the friend who brought us, he's like, I'm leaving. You guys want to ride? Nope. Me and Maddie are going to shut down this party where we don't know anybody. And it turned into like 4 a.m. and it's me and Maddie and like the guy whose house it is. And he's like, who are you guys? And we're like, that was really fun. Thank you.
Dude, I quit. I drove Postmates for a little bit in LA. I quit because I had to go into the house and go into the hills and drop shit off where there was an insane party going on 2 doors down. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. I'll never driving in the hills sucks.
It sucks.
Who would want to live up there? It's so inconvenient.
Yeah, super inconvenient.
The houses are beautiful. I get that. But I love that about you and Maddie because fuck those parties.
Maddie doesn't give a fuck, and he's so loud.
Southside boy. Southside Nick. All right. Oh my God. This is my wife's. Not that I wouldn't like it. I've never seen it actually. It's not even open. We have a DVD that's not open. Look, if you can see on the side. It's the Sex and the City movie.
Problem. You got to watch it.
Gotta watch this. All right. Pick a number between 1 through 4. That's all. Pick which actress from the cover you're gonna.
I mean, 4.
4 is Kim Cattrall.
Okay.
You know which one she is? She's like the mega slut on the show.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Well,
cool, man. She's sex positive. I'm sorry, everybody. I should have said it that way. All right, who are you going to fuck, marry, kill? You got Ben Affleck, Heather Graham, or Kim Cattrall?
Well, it's very easy. I mean, I'll be basic and just be like, I want to have sex with the sex positive lady. That sounds fun. Heather Graham is a delight, and we all agree Ben Affleck should be murdered.
Yeah, that's pretty easy, actually. So you're going to marry Heather Graham.
It was very easy. Yes, that was how you explain the game to someone before they play it.
It was. You obviously want to murder this piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know, Ben Affleck smokes. The whole house is going to be smoky. You don't want him around like that.
Actually,
boring in bed.
You gotta have some fun with Ben Affleck. You know, he drinks. Me and him would really tie one on. That'd be pretty fun, I guess.
He'd be fun to party with, maybe. But yeah, dude, Heather Graham, I don't know. I've always been a big fan of her. She's a sweetheart. She'll show her boobs on camera. She plays comedy fairly well. Mm-hmm. I think she's from the Midwest originally.
Is she in Election? Is that Heather Graham?
No, that's Reese Witherspoon.
Okay. Yeah.
Heather Graham was in Boogie Nights, Roller Girl.
Cool.
She was in Hangover, a few other stuff. But yeah, I'm into her. I think she's from Madison, Wisconsin too, which is a great town.
Ooh, definitely marrying her.
Gots to. All right, Brooks, dude, thank you so much for doing the podcast. You are the man. Tell people where they should follow you, man. Should be on Instagram, or where's the main one for you?
Yeah, I guess Instagram if you want to see photos that I pretend that I'm good at photography. Instagram's great if you're bad at photography. And just listen to Entry Level. I like that's the one thing I'm doing right now. We're deep. It's gotten off topic a little bit from jobs to where now I'm trying to interview a carny. I'm very interested in a carny lifestyle. So I'm trying to get, I've got the listeners, a couple of them know carnies, but I don't know if you believe this. Carnies are hard to nail down for an interview. So that's what I'm working on right now is interviewing a carny.
Yeah, I could see them being hard to track down.
What life's like?
I would love to know. Yeah, town to town, shacking up with people.
What's going on? That carny lifestyle. So yeah, but yeah, listen to that. Just interviewed, I think it said Roy Wood Jr. on, who you just had, who's the fucking funny.
That was a great episode. I listened to that one. Roy Wood Jr. episode is great. Dude, I love the podcast, man. I've listened to a few episodes. It's really fun. It's a great concept too.
That's great. Thanks, man. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Hell yeah, dude. Brooks, thank you so much. Everyone, thanks for listening to the podcast. Cheers, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Bye.